Okay guys, I'm going to attempt to fix my little detent problem, and I figured I would show what the inside of the 0550 looks like. So there it is, that's that inside scale right there. Very skeletonized. Very, very skeletonized. Oh man, I should have grabbed a magnet. I wanted to see if this was titanium. But the tolerances on the machining on this is crazy. Like trying to pop this off, it's really freaking hard to do because it's just, everything just fits perfect. It does not want to come off. Wish me luck, guys. Generally speaking, I usually make things worse when I do this, so yeah, wish me luck. Alright, later. Okay guys, back again. I did test the liner with a magnet, and it is magnetized, so this is form of steel. But something else I wanted to point out here, which we may be able to see on this lock bar, is it just me, or does that look carbonized? That looks carbonized to me. That explains why this thing is not sticky at all. I forgot to mention that in my first impression video. But yeah, this is not sticky at all, and that looks like carbonization right there on the inside there. Alright guys, just wanted to show that. Okay guys, so I should have done this before I started. Basically what I did, sorry, that was a Shoe Nice 22 reference. Basically what I did is I took a, it doesn't matter, it's a flat piece of steel, it's actually a screwdriver that has an end to it, but anyways, it's got attachments you can put on it, but it's just a flat piece of steel at the end. And I placed it on the detent ball, if we could focus, and I hit it a few times with the hammer. And I don't actually know if it did anything, because when you're doing something like this, I mean, it's like just a minuta amount is what you're looking for. So basically I just need to reassemble and see if it did anything, because the last thing I want to do is overdo it. I think it looks a little different. I think I did drive it down a tad. It's, you know, like I said, though, it's kind of hard to tell because it is such a small amount, but I guess we'll see. Alright, later. Alright guys, all done. First off, so this is what I used to hit that detent ball, just a flat piece of steel. I put a little wooden block because obviously when this is taken apart, your lock bar is going to go in. So I just put a soft little wooden block back here to keep it stabilized. Placed this on there, looked at as close as I could to try to determine if I made any movement, and just kind of whacked it with the hammer. Luckily, I got it perfect on the first try. I can do this all freaking day. And if you look at this, if you remember from my original video, I mean the detent's still good, but I can actually flick it open on camera here. So yeah, absolutely perfect. Either hand. And I don't know when this video is going up, but this was all shot the same day I did my first impressions. So you saw how I struggled with opening this, especially with my right hand, and my thumb's still sore from all that. So even with the sore thumb, I'm able to do it. I would not recommend doing this at home unless you're a professional. I would recommend setting it into Kershaw or sending it to a professional to do. I very well could have jacked this knife up. I was willing to make that risk, and you know, I was maybe 1 or 2 strikes away from having no detent at all. Another thing with this particular knife, it's not very easy to take apart and put back together. And it's not because it's overly complex, it's just everything is so tight that it is just a pain to get back together. Second of all, once again, because things are so tight, in order to not get any side-to-side blade play, oh yeah, rock solid by the way, in order to not get any side-to-side blade play, you have to crank on this really hard, at least on this model. And that's why these are out here. I bought this nice kit right here. that I use, these Torx drivers marked on the back, got a nice little kit. But for this job, I had to break this out, this cheap little Gorilla guy, simply because this allows you to crank on something with torque. Definitely could not have done it without this, or else I'd have blade play. Pretty well centered. It's a little off. I think a little off towards the lock side more than when I started. And another thing when you disassemble knives, look at that lockup. It's what, 10% now? Last time I showed it, it was like 30%. So yeah, little variances, because what happens is that lockup is determined by how far forward this blade is. So something as simple as putting the stop pin in, rotated slightly different than last time, will allow this blade to either go back just, you know, just a fraction of a millimeter, or forward. And it'll change the lock dynamic. So definitely something to keep in mind when you're taking apart knives. They don't always just go back together 100%. I also increased the lock bar tension just a tad, because I returned it kind of more to how it came, because I had loosened it a little bit in my first vein attempt at the detent fix. But as you can see, it is perfectly easy to open with the thumb stud there. No discomfort at all, and yet, you know, the detent's actually still quite strong. You can flick it open if you give it a really good whack. But so yeah, overall a success. Like I said, I can't recommend doing this, but if you want to, go ahead, do it at your own risk. All right, guys, I'm out of here.